Hello everybody, today I'll be showing you how to mark a 400 meter stagger without knowing any distance, or without using a trundle wheel, because that takes ages and is very annoying. Now, this is a track which is not 400 meters in length. Now, lane 3 is 400 meters, lane 1 is not. So, in lane 3 you've got a 400 meter you can travel round in. Now, that means the 400 meter start line is naturally on the finish line, which is represented by this blue line here. Now, to work out the rest of the staggers around it, you can kind of estimate it, but of course that's not going to do for an accurate race. So there's two things we need to know, and that is the width of the lane, which is this much, and which normally is 1.2 meters in most circumstances. And we have to know the formula 2 pi r, which is the formula for the circumference of the circle. Now, if we think of an athletics track, we've got 2 straights and 2 corners. Now, if we were to eliminate the straights from the section, we'd end up with just a circle. And because the bends are the only thing that changes the stagger, because that's where lane 1 travels less than the outside lane here, then adding the straights in doesn't change anything to the stagger. So with this, it makes you think that you need to know the radius. You need to know how big your track circle is, but you don't really. Because all you need to know is the difference between lane 3 and lane 2. Because if you want to define lane 2, you'd need to know, okay, that's 400 meters from there. Now, how much do I need to move my stagger back in lane 2 to get another 400 meter start line? And the formula is 2 pi r of the lane 3, 2 pi r3, minus 2 pi r2, radius of lane 2. Now, hang on, if we factor this out by 2 pi, we end up with 2 pi times r3 minus r2. And r3 minus r2, well, that's the width of a lane. So we end up with 2 pi times 1.2, or 2.4 pi. And that is our stagger. It is that simple, 2.4 pi meters. Now, if your lanes are not 1.2 meters wide, then you just change what r3 minus r2 is, or your lane width. So what you do is from the start, the inside of lane 3, you can measure back 2.4 pi meters. So go back 2.4 pi meters. And you measure that out from there across here. And you start, and that's your lane 2 start. Then for lane 1, you can go from the finish line 4.8 pi meters. And you have your lane 1 start for the 400 meter sprint. Now, these two, it doesn't matter if you measure 2.4 pi meters from here or 4.8 pi meters from there, because they're both going to come out the same. But on the curve, it's very important that you always measure from the finish line. You don't measure from the last mark you made, because otherwise the curve is going to start playing up with your numbers and it's going to mess up all your measurements. So what you can do again, now this time you're going to go forwards 2.4 pi meters on the inside of this lane. So you'll measure round here to there, and that's going to be 2.4 pi meters between there and there. And now if you went straight out here, you wouldn't have 2.4 pi meters there, so you need to remeasure again from here, because this is going to be 4.8 pi meters. And this allows you to measure your stagger on a curve. Now, then you've got your start line there, and you can continue doing this. So it'll be 2.4, 4.8, and you just keep on adding factors of 2.4, and you'll end up doing as many lanes as you want. And you can continue going as far around the track as you want. However, it might become a bit redundant after 9 or 10 lanes to be measuring all the way around about to here. It gets very difficult with a tape. Now, to do these measurements, do not measure in a straight line from this point to this point. I recommend you put pegs in around the corner, all along here, and then wrap the tape around the bend. That way you get an accurate measure of the inside of the lane, not a straight line, because the straight line is going to be shorter. And there you have it, a 400 meter start stagger for a race where you don't have one lane that is 400 meters long.